What evidence do you have that uh, the Charlie Kirk event was a conspiracy? So, Blake, start with you, buddy.
Hello, Blake.
we're
How are
doing
you,
this.
man?
What evidence do I have that it's a conspiracy?
Yeah.
Read the charging document and the indictment, and every single bit of that is the smoking gun proof that this is a conspiracy. Because it all does not make sense. It all can be easily proven to be false, and it will be.
Okay,
I don't know how else to explain it.
So
I have
your
the
question to Andrew.
I have the
Andrew,
charging document.
you believe it?
No, Andrew heard him. Glenn,
I was just
hold
trying to
on.
clarify.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to
so
clarify.
hey, how you doing, by the way, man? Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. So, you're saying that there's a conspiracy based around the charging documents. Starting with the charging documents, what in there compels you to believe that there's a conspiracy here?
So let's just take the timeline, the text messages, the identifying factor of the parents on Tyler, the way that the event rolled out.
Well, maybe we can do kind of one of these at a time.
Sure.
Yeah. So, in the charging document specifically, what do you want me to pull up that you think is giving you credibility towards a conspiracy?
Okay, hang on one
Is it
second.
possible for you to turn up your mic a little bit?
Is it possible for me to do that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can try.
Thank you.
1 second here.
You sound much better already.
All right, good.
Okay, so to start with the page 4.
I know this is going to sound really stupid, but because I'm on YouTube right now, can you actually avoid saying, I know how stupid that sounds, but like the unaliving maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not beating you up about it. I'm just telling you, like, I'm at the mercy of the stupid TOS. So.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so on page 4.
Is this in the indictment itself, by the way?
Believe so. I think I'm on the charging document. No, I'm on the indictment. Sorry, hang on. Let me go to the. Hang on just a second.
So this would be the suspect position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway to access the suspected location. Is that what we're on?
No, I think I'm on the other one where it's Turning Point USA, nonprofit organization founded in 2012. Charlie Kirk.
What page is that on? And again,
on 4.
Is this the Tyler Robinson indictment, or is it something else? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm on page 4 here. I'm not actually seeing anything on Turning Point, so maybe I have the wrong document. Yeah, I didn't actually find anything in a search that says TPUSA either.
Turning Point?
Could you send me the link to what you have and I can send it to Andrew?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, just a second.
We can get on the same page here.
Blake might be ready. I don't know if you guys, Glenn, did those documents get transferred? Those screenshots?
I'm still waiting.
Okay.
Maybe I have them. Hang on. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to find anything that way I know that me and him are on the same page. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Whatever you.
Yeah, and Glenn doesn't have. I can't send pictures to him. I can only send text. So I'm actually putting them. I'm about to. You're going to see them in the nest momentarily.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because this is the Tyler Robinson indictment is what we're specifically looking at, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm on page 4. I'm on the.
And you don't see a bold section that.
Well, let's just hang on. Let's make sure that we got this right. Okay. In the 4th Judicial District Court, Utah County, State of Utah, or are we looking at something else?
Hang on. Where did that go? Yes, that's it. In the 4th Judicial Court, page 4. You don't see Turning Point USA?
So page 4 for me starts with the suspected position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. Is that the page you're looking at?
let me go back to my photo album. Boom.
Okay. Yeah, I see where you're at. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk. Is that where we're starting?
Yeah, that was where I was going to go first. So,
Okay.
like, do we have the same document?
We clearly do if it starts with Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012. Is that what it starts with?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. All right. I got my notepad here, so we'll go through this here. All right. I'm with you.
Okay. So basically, what we see on camera is not a rifle round being shot to an individual's neck.
Okay, but what about the document here? Are you saying is giving you evidence of a conspiracy to Charlie Kirk?
What about the document? Okay, because it's all what didn't happen.
Okay, but which you gotta give me something here, man. Like what specifically are we talking about here that you're saying didn't happen?
Okay, hang on one sec. I'm gonna move to my office. Give me 1 second.
No
I'm in
problem.
the garage. We're going to the office. Hang on just a second.
Okay.
Uncle Tom, go to a different one and I'll jump right back in.
Hey, Glenn, good to see you. So, what evidence do you have that Charlie Kirk, there was a conspiracy to Charlie Kirk? Oh, I can't say the K word, can I? Unalive Charlie
Yeah,
Kirk.
unalive. Isn't that stupid? Look, I hate it
We
as
have to
much
put-
as you do.
No,
I hate
it's
it.
cool. It's
I
cool.
hate it as much as you do, but it is what it is.
We have to logically frame this, so that's what I'm really up here for. So we know this binary, something happened, so it's on or off. Was there a conspiracy? Wasn't there a conspiracy? Was it Tyler Robertson? That's a yes or no question, right? But when like assessing a chance versus probability, we have to look into what we know and who we can trust. So there's an absolute answer, and my position is I don't know that we're ever going to get to that answer. So I want to ask Andrew a couple questions that might kind of coincide. And first of all, I do want to say that any like disparaging of Erica Kirk, I think is kind of jumping the shark that we should be extremely reserved on, because if someone's grieving, you should show them the utmost respect. I just want to ask Andrew a couple of questions. So the
Yeah,
moon
that
landing,
seems
Yeah.
reasonable to me.
Yeah.
That until the facts are in order, the idea that we're going to try to pin the husband on the wife, we better be damn sure.
1,000%.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I'll
so
always
that
steer away
seems
from that.
that seems reasonable and rational to me. All right, go ahead. What are your questions here, man?
My question is the moon landing. So we
Mm.
know we either landed on the moon or we didn't, and then we're going to assess probability. Would you assess a probability of 100% that we landed on the moon?
Which time?
With Neil Armstrong and when they called
Oh,
Nixon.
for the first time?
Yeah.
No, I think that you can make some compelling evidences that you didn't land on the moon the first time. Yeah.
But you got to remember that's binary, so that's either yes or no. But we're still
Yeah,
assessing
it
probability. I think
is.
that's what
It
we're doing
is.
here.
Yeah, it is true that. So I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying here. If the idea is all propositions are going to be true or false, the proposition did we land on the moon or not is going to be we either did or we did not, right? Then you're going off of what you think are probabilities for if we did or did not.
And the third probability
Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. And the
Okay.
third probability is, are we going to know the answers? 'Cause sometimes I'm going to resign to like throughout life. Most people don't understand two things can be true, or let alone multiple things can be true. And in this sense, I can kind of resign to the fact that I'll never know the correct answer. So I'll never know that binary 100% correct answer.
Well, hang on. Now you're at the mercy of your own logic, though. So if it's the case, it's a binary and it's either true or false, and you're just basing it on the probabilities of the knowledge of true or false, then you can't actually say that you're not going to know the answer. That would be a false statement, right?
No. There's a third. So there's a third logical position you can make, and that position is I'm just never going to know whether or not what the truth is.
Yeah, right. But based on the first position, moving over to your third position, if everything's based on probability and you're just looking at probability being small or big, 5% probability that you're never going to know versus 95% that you will, then by your own logic, that would mean that the proposition is still binary and that you still could know.
Exactly, exactly. But my question kind of I'm pondering is, are we ever going to get an absolute answer? Because I see people taking like either a position like uh, it's either a one thing or the other, when a lot of times two things can be true. So I'm trying to assess whether or not you think in absolute terms. Do you just think in 51%? I'm looking at this and by the preponderance of evidence, I think that Tyler Robertson, or do you think in absolute terms that Tyler Robertson is the guilty?
Well, I mean, I'm willing to change my mind, so I guess that would mean that there's some percentage of doubt. Like you could definitely, I get things wrong just like you get things wrong, right? And the best that we can do, both of us, is go for the preponderance of evidence in order to make up our minds the best that we possibly can based on that. Now, that said, there are definitely things that are going to raise the statistic chances of the things that you believe and lower them, right?
Yeah, but there's still that binary, and there's enough things here, and I think that the real what the real
But
tragedy
I
in this
just
is
think
that
that you could say that about anything is the problem. Right? Like, what couldn't you say that about?
no, because
Is there,
contextually, I
well,
think
here, I'll give you an example.
yeah.
Are you 100% certain you're not a brain in a vat?
Say what? Yeah, I'm 100% sure.
Okay, prove it.
Yeah. Come on, I mean,
Come on.
I
I
have to
mean,
follow up. I know
can you prove that
I
you're not
can't
a
prove
brain in the vat?
I can't prove we can't prove we're having this conversation.
Oh,
I know
right,
that. I know
right.
that.
So then what you're saying, all you're saying is that your logic would be adjusted to everything on planet Earth. And if there's an infinitesimal amount of doubt or what could be considered doubt, then therefore you'll never 100% know for certain what is true. But we don't assess truth claims that way. We don't assess truth claims based on the fact that we would have 100% of everything about it, which could possibly be true. You couldn't even say that about any relationship that you've ever been in. Right? Like you can't even assess the truth of the relationships that you're in that way 100%. So I think that this is a really bad argument ultimately. You would
Well, I'm
still
trying to frame
assess,
it. I'll make
you
sure
would
we're framing a
still,
proper
well,
argument.
you would
Yeah,
still
I didn't get to
assess,
my
hang on,
point.
hang on. You would still assess guilt or innocence based on the preponderance of evidence, right? And even if you could say that you were never 100% certain about anything, you could be certain enough to lock a person up for doing something, right?
Oh yeah, correct.
Yeah, then I don't
That's my next point.
then I don't know what
Well,
we're fighting about here.
let me land. The tragedy here is we're not talking about this in a vacuum. There's a lot of context here that might be missed on. Again, so Charlie, who was the one gentleman? It was Joe Kent. He said the last thing Charlie Kurt said to him is make sure we don't go war with Iran, and we are currently at war with Iran. So that's context that is going to creep into the doubt. So if we just
Well,
look at this in a
that's
vacuum,
just hearsay, dude.
I mean,
That's
well, it's
hearsay.
hearsay from. I mean, he said it from. No, Joe Kent actually said that.
How do
So
you
that's not
know
hearsay.
that he actually said that? No, 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 not that Joe
Um,
Kent said that, but that was said to Joe Kent.
because Joe Kent said it. So
Well,
again, so
then
contextually,
that doesn't mean that it's true because Joe Kent said it.
I find him credible. Again, so again, applying the
So
core.
so then
Hold on
what
a
you're
sec. Hold on. No,
doing,
no, no, Andrew
okay.
Wilson. Oh no, what we're doing is we have to assess the credibility of a witness. So if we're going to lock people up under the same standard that you're using, we
Yeah.
also use a standard where we have credibility of witnesses. I think of the guy that did 12 tours, he lost. This was a national security director, right? So he's been through
Mm.
all. So I wouldn't think he's a liar. I wouldn't think he have like I would consider him one of the most credible, if not an expert witness. So we have almost an expert witness saying that. And so, and I'm just saying, you're right. If we apply the same,
Same logic,
if we don't know the sky's really blue, then yeah, we
right?
can't take anything.
So then if
Well,
it's the case that both of us just want to utilize the preponderance of evidence to where we can't maybe ascertain 100% certitude on anything, but we can possess enough certitude to still make judgment calls and decisions on things, including the fate of individual people based on the crimes that they do, then what are we even fighting about here?
well, I'm saying where the burden of proof lies. Does the burden of proof? So should we be disproving the state's claim, or should the state actually be making their claim? And when we look at the context,
I think
and
that the
same as we
state,
have in
I think that the state has the entirety of the burden to prosecute Tyler. 100%. That's, of course, that is the case. But you see how you kind of tried to cleverly switch the burden of proof to me on the claim. It's like, look, I'm not ever going to say that the state doesn't have to prove its claim against Tyler. And I think that it probably will successfully do that. But what the hell does that have to do with whether or not this was a conspiracy or not to kill the man?
Well, that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of, right? Ding, 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 ding. So
And
I think we're breaking the
that's
point.
why
I
I'm
don't, I don't
here.
think there's.
That's why I'm here talking to you, so that we can get to the bottom of whether or not, when you make this truth claim, you have good evidences to support it.
Yeah, it's actually you're a good bellwether too. I think there's a lot of smoke there, and I think there's a crisis of confidence, and that is the real shame here. Is they could have this guy, you know, I'm trying to
Well, this
break my
could be
words.
true. It could be true that there's a crisis of confidence, and it could be true that Joe Kent is telling the truth about this. But what does that do for you exactly? What does that do for your position here?
Well, I look at the macro. I don't always look at. I know you like to zoom in. I'm more of a zoom out guy. So
I'm willing
bigger
to look at the
conversation here.
macro, but when you're looking at the macro, you are taking individualistic things which happen on the micro, and then you're putting them together like a puzzle for the macro, correct?
Well, we are at war. I mean, contextually, we are at war with Iran, right? So we can't just ignore that. We can't just say
I'm
like,
not ignoring it.
yeah.
I'm
So
just
so
not
okay. So
sure
going
what
back
it
to my
I'm
point.
just not sure what it does for you here.
I'm just framing the argument. I'm just here while these gentlemen get their evidence. We're trying, like, again, you're a great bellwether for what evidence will make you kind of say, wow, there's a lot of smoke here. And at least acknowledge that there is a crisis of confidence and this is not happening in a vacuum. And so I'm actually sympathetic to the conspiracy theories, not saying that they're true or could be proven, but in the current state of America, like I said, being at war,
Well,
everything that happened.
let's make a few things clear, right, about my position here. The government has hundreds of thousands of laws on the books about conspiracies. They see conspiracies everywhere. Conspiracy to commit fraud, conspiracy to commit wiretapping, conspiracy. They see conspiracies all over the place and prosecute for those conspiracies all over the place. I'm not here to tell you that conspiracies are wrong, or that all conspiracies are wrong, or even that most are wrong, right? What I'm here to do specifically is challenge this one, because I have been digging through this and I actually can't even figure out still to this day what the actual claims even are, or why there's a conspiracy that TPUSA and Erica Kirk collaborated with foreign interests to murder Charlie Kirk. That's a huge claim. And while I understand that maybe you wouldn't be able to put all of the pieces together for that, there should be something that we're going off of here that's logical, rational, and makes sense, right?
Yeah, that's not my position. That's the most extreme conspiracy theory out there. Mine,
Well, if Tyler
clarification,
Robinson
yeah.
didn't Charlie Kirk, then that would mean that somebody else did, right?
Yeah, it doesn't
See,
mean it's Erica. Doesn't mean it's Erica
right.
Kirk, though.
Doesn't
So
mean it's Erica Kirk. I totally agree with this, right? But it means somebody else did, and that there would be some cover up of some sort going on somewhere, right? So I think that we at least have to acknowledge that in order for us to get conspiracy, we likely, and maybe not 100%, but we likely have to acknowledge that you would have to believe that Tyler Robinson did not Charlie Kirk.
yeah, and again, I'm resigned to the fact that I'll never know the like I said, it's binary for me, and I assessing probability. I just know there's a lot of smoke here, and I think that there's a crisis of confidence, and that's the bigger tragedy, in my opinion. But I'm resigned to the fact that I'll never know, and I wouldn't have full faith, even if they did convict Tyler Robinson. I wouldn't have full faith in that conviction due to all the extenuating circumstances, which is really unfortunate. So
Do
that's
you
really
have
my
faith
position.
in the Carmelo Anthony conviction?
That's a little different.
Do you have faith in it?
Absolutely.
And is that because after all of the evidence by the state was presented, you felt like the state made the better case?
Yeah, it's a system we live in.
Then if that's the case, shouldn't you do the same thing here, bro?
No, there's contextual with the influence of our government. Listen, it's not my first rodeo. I've been around. I'm probably privy to things that most people aren't privy to, and I know how judges operate and how state prosecutors operate.
What things are you privy to that other people aren't privy to?
Didn't Carmelo admit to him?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Tyler Robinson didn't admit to Charlie.
But that's not really what the question was. The question wasn't whether or not these are parallel in every way, but whether or not what convinced him was that the state made a compelling case against Carmelo Anthony. And he said, yes, that's what convinced him. But then here, when I asked, well, why wouldn't you wait until the state presents its full case then before you decide to not believe the state? He gave some other distinct reason
No,
for
I'm just
that.
saying. I'm
Did
saying
the
I wouldn't
state
have
use
full.
the confession as evidence?
Yeah, what would that have to do with
Those
anything?
confessions are very damning.
Yeah,
People have
great,
confessed to
great. But
things they didn't even
what would that
do,
have to
got put away.
do? What would that have to do with the position, though?
Well, let's let this guy go, and then I can jump in after the next person.
Yeah,
But
just what would it have to do with his position? That's what I don't understand. Like, what would it have to do with the position?
Well, contextually, you're missing the point. Is I don't think there's a foreign, like Joe Kent said, he was not allowed to investigate foreign intelligence. I don't think there's any foreign intelligence allegation in the Carmel Anthony case. Now, what I'm rejecting is that there's some type of white supremacy, because if you I've been on spaces where people think that this is a conspiracy because of white supremacy, which I think is non-existent. So when I measure those things, I say, well, white supremacy is just a boogeyman that doesn't really exist in the theory that they apply. I think white supremacy is a fact of nature, but that's a whole different argument. But the way that they apply their quote unquote boogeyman of white supremacy doesn't exist. Now, I do think that it does have undue influence over positions of power in the United States. So that's where that kind of changes.
We don't have any
But I want to
disagreement
let them know.
there.
Yeah.
There's no
Okay. So
disagreement
that's
there.
type of dis-
There's
yeah,
no
I'm not here to-
disagreement
yeah, I'm not
there.
here to- yeah, I don't think we disagree on much, but I do think there's a lot of things here that would give me pause and concern. And like I said, if they put this man away, I wouldn't have full faith in the process, because I heard something crazy and I'll let these guys go.
But shouldn't
about-
you view the totality of the evidence presented by the state before you make the decision that a pre-decision that you're not going to have faith in?
But I mean, they let OJ off. I didn't have faith when they let OJ off.
But hang on, that by using your logic, the Carmelo Anthony thing, so what, right? So these are completely distinct circumstances. You wouldn't say that Carmelo Anthony was railroaded because OJ was let off. Like it's just a silly position, right?
No. I'm saying the reason why OJ was let off is because there was pressure on the courtroom. Same thing with Chauvin. There's pressure on the courtroom and the juries to quote unquote do what needed to be done. In this case, there's going to be even more pressure. If there is a grand conspiracy, I don't think the fact him being convicted would
But
set aside.
I'm just saying, like, shouldn't you set aside your bias and wait for the totality of the evidence to be presented to you by the state before you make up your mind you're immediately going to disbelieve it? That's what I'm
No,
asking
I've
you.
looked at the state's evidence, and one thing is,
That's not
hold on.
possible, sir.
No, I've looked at the indictment. One thing
No,
in the indictment says,
but you have not
hold
looked,
on, sir.
dude.
Yes, sir.
You
Excuse me.
haven't.
They recreated.
It's not
Base
possible that you've
confession.
looked at the state's evidence. It's not even possible.
Listen.
Nobody has.
Listen, sir, they have an indictment. They exhibited, and what they said was that they recreated the text message. You know, this text message to his, I don't want to describe her because YouTube, but to his friend, whatever.
Yeah, his friend, his friend with benefits.
Friend. But you know that was recreated, right? That was like essentially what they said was that they looked at it like that. There's like a digital footprint that was akin to if I write something on a note.
Well, that's from the note, though, not from the Discord messages, right? And so that's
was it from the note? Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's even worse.
These are two. Well, hang on. These are two distinct pieces of evidence, but you don't know yet. That what I'm saying to you is like you don't know what the totality of the state's case is. For instance, maybe I'm completely wrong, and when the state releases its evidence in totality, and I start going through it, I go, wait a second, there is a lot wrong here, right? And then I would change my mind accordingly.
And Andrew, can I ask something real
Wouldn't
quick?
you? Hang on, let's finish our convo. We're almost done. And then wouldn't you do?
I think I don't want to be. I don't blame the.
But then wouldn't you? But wouldn't you do? Wouldn't you do the same thing? Didn't you do the same thing?
Yeah, but I've already got the spidey senses kind of tingling. I'm resigned to the fact that I don't know if there's a conspiracy, but I know there's a crisis of confidence that I will never know there's not a conspiracy. And so to take the position that the government is this is the same as the Carmel Anthony case, I think that's ridiculous with the context, with what Joe Kent's saying, with the idea that a note was recreated, and some of the things coming out now about he never really confessed and his parents were worried for him. So, I mean, yeah, we could wait and see, but I think this one, I kind of set it out, actually.
Okay. All right, man.